For 130 straight races, Ty Gibbs could not win. Not one. The grandson of a Super Bowl winning coach. The grandson of one of the most powerful team owners in the sport. A former ARCA champion. A former O'Reilly Series champion. 130 Cup starts. 0 wins. Then on Sunday, at Bristol, on tires that were 95 laps older than the guys chasing him, he held off 2 former Cup champions on an overtime restart and beat Ryan Blaney to the finish line by 55 thousandths of a second. The closest Bristol finish since 1991. Here's exactly how the weight of an entire family's expectations finally broke off his shoulders. If you don't understand what Sunday meant for Ty Gibbs, stop scrolling, because this is one of the most emotional breakthrough wins in modern NASCAR. And I promise you, the context behind this victory is going to change how you see every young driver who grew up inside a family racing dynasty. Ty Gibbs is 23 years old, per ESPN's Race Recap. He's the grandson of Joe Gibbs, a Pro Football Hall of Fame coach, a 3-time Super Bowl winner, and the owner of Joe Gibbs Racing, one of the most powerful teams in the sport. He's also the son of Coy Gibbs. That name matters. Per ESPN, Coy Gibbs passed away unexpectedly in his sleep on November 6, 2022, the day after Ty won the NASCAR Xfinity Series championship at Phoenix. Imagine that. 24 hours between the biggest win of your career and losing your father. Per Yardbarker's coverage, that Phoenix race in 2022 was the last time Ty Gibbs won anything until Sunday at Bristol. Then there's the older brother in the family tree. Per Fox Sports' post-race analysis, Joe Gibbs lost both of his sons at age 49. J.D. Gibbs died in 2019. Coy in 2022. Every win this family celebrates now is shadowed by who isn't there to see it. But here's what the critics said. And this is important, because it sets up everything that happened Sunday. They said, he's only got this ride because of his last name. 130 starts, 0 wins. Kyle Busch and J.J. Yaley had the old record for most JGR starts without a win, per Yardbarker, and Ty broke it. He's living off nepotism. The 54 team is wasted on him. That wasn't just fan noise. Per NASCAR.com's analysis piece, in a February court declaration from the ongoing lawsuit between JGR and Spire Motorsports, former JGR competition director Chris Gabehart alleged that Ty was receiving differential treatment, that the 54 driver was not held to the same meeting attendance standards as others on the team. That was the headline, heading into this season. Grandson gets special treatment. Fair enough. So, let's look at what he actually did with that treatment. Here's where the story quietly turned. Per NASCAR.com's analysis by Daniel McFadden, dating back to the Circuit of the Americas race on March 1, 2026, Ty Gibbs hasn't finished worse than 6th in a Cup Series race. Let me repeat that. 6 races in a row. None worse than 6th. That's a career-best top 1-0 streak. Per Fox Sports' 4 takeaways piece, Bristol was the 6th straight top 6 finish. Heading into Sunday, per Yardbarker, Gibbs was the driver best suited for the win. Nobody was really talking about that. The lawsuit was talking. The 131 starts and no wins number was talking. But the on-track form was telling a completely different story. And here's the thing, though. And I need you to pay attention here, because this is the part everyone is missing. Per NASCAR.com's analysis, Joe Gibbs himself addressed the noise after Sunday's win. I know there was a lot out there. I think he did a good job of kind of putting things aside and just concentrating on racing. He's been able to focus on all those things. He knows when you're in the situation he's in, there's going to be a lot going on. That's part of handling it, and handling it the right way. That's not the quote of a grandfather covering for a kid. That's the quote of a 70-something-year-old Hall of Fame coach, admitting his grandson had to compartmentalize an actual court filing in the middle of a race season and just keep driving. And the data says that's exactly what he did. 6 races without finishing outside the top 6, a career-best streak. Walking into the one place he'd always loved, Bristol Motor Speedway, where, per Jayski's Fast Facts, Sunday became his 5th top. 1-0 finish in only 7 career Cup starts at the track. The kid wasn't riding his last name. He was grinding through noise his peers will never understand. Now to Sunday. Let's walk the final 30 laps, because what happened is going to get studied for a long time. Per NASCAR.com's official recap, Ryan Blaney won the pole, led 190 laps, and was the class of the field for long stretches. Kyle Larson, per the same recap, and Jayski, led a race-high 284 laps and swept both stages. Between them, they led all but 31 of the scheduled 500 laps. This race belonged to 2 of them. Then Chase Elliott spun, per NASCAR.com, to cause the 8th caution of the day. Per NASCAR.com's recap, Gibbs' exact words to crew chief Tyler Allen were, "I don't want to give up track position at all." Allen agreed. They stayed out. Gibbs restarted the lead on lap 486 on tires that were 95 laps older than the cars pitting behind him. Nobody gave him a chance. Per Bristol. Today's recap. Larson and Blaney both took fresh rubber. They came charging. Gibbs held the top lane. Then on lap 497, 3 laps from the finish, per NASCAR.com, Kyle Busch spun Riley Herbst in payback for an earlier incident, forcing the 9th caution and overtime. 2-lap shootout. Gibbs on ancient tires, Blaney on fresh. Per the official NASCAR.com recap, Gibbs beat Blaney to the finish line by 0.055 seconds. Kyle Larson finished 3rd, 0.229 seconds back. And here's the detail that makes this historic, per NASCAR.com. That 0.055 second margin of victory is the closest Bristol finish since Rusty Wallace beat Ernie Irvan by 1 foot in April 1991. That is 35 years ago. The grandson of Joe Gibbs just matched a record from when Joe Gibbs was coaching the Washington Redskins. Blaney's quote, per ESPN, "Yeah, great battle for sure. I fought a lot of different cars. Gave it my best shot on the last restart. Was close but just couldn't get it done." Teammate Chase Briscoe, also per ESPN, "Super happy for Ty. It's been a long time coming. To do it the way he did it, on old tires. To beat the 2 guys that dominated all day long. That was impressive." End quote. Now here's the part that should terrify the rest of the Cup Series field. And if you've been waiting for the punchline of this video, this is it. Per Jayski's updated post-Bristol standings, Ty Gibbs now sits 4th in the Cup Series points with 281, ahead of Chase Elliott, ahead of Kyle Larson, ahead of William Byron. He's plus 105 on the cut line. He has his first career win locked in, which under the 2026 Chase format means he's all but guaranteed a playoff spot. He has 6 straight top 6 finishes. He has a crew chief in Tyler Allen, who just made the boldest call of their shared career and got it exactly right. And here's what should really scare the rest of the field. Per Fox Sports' 4 Takeaways piece, Tyler Allen started with Gibbs in 2025, but for much of that year, Chris Gabehart was sitting atop the pit box doing some of the crew chief duties. Sunday was the first win for Allen and Gibbs as a pure driver-crew chief pairing. And they won the closest Bristol finish in 35 years on 95-lap older tires. Meanwhile, per ESPN's recap, Kyle Larson, the defending Cup Series champion, is now winless in his last 32 races, despite leading 284 laps on Sunday. Gibbs didn't just beat a great driver. He beat the defending champion. And he did it on strategy, not speed. Here's Gibbs's own quote, per Fox Sports, and read it carefully. "One win doesn't change my career. Not one bit. I knew I was capable of it. My team, obviously, I know they're capable of it. I could win the next 5 or just win this one and be done for a long time. That's not a kid who just got lucky. That's a kid who already knew he could do it. The only thing that changed Sunday was that the rest of us now know it too. So here's what I want you to think about. And I mean, really think about it. For 130 starts, the narrative was that Ty Gibbs was the kid who couldn't finish the job. He had the last name, the equipment, the family, and nothing to show for it. His father died the day after he won his biggest race. A former JGR competition director accused him in court of getting special treatment. The record for most JGR starts without a win was now his. And still. Then on Sunday, in his 131st start, he held off the pole winner and the defending Cup Series champion on 95-lap older tires, won by 55 thousandths of a second, and gave the checkered flag to his mother in victory lane. Joe Gibbs stood there emotional about his grandson, his late son Coy, his late son J.D., an entire family finally celebrating together after losing 2 of its pillars. Is Ty Gibbs going to win the 2026 Cup Series championship? Probably not yet. Reddick leads by 62 points. Blaney is second. Hamlin is third. But ask yourself this. If the kid who carried 131 starts of weight on his back just shook it off with the closest Bristol finish since 1991, what does he look like now that the weight is gone? Because per his own quote, he could win the next 5. Or he could win this one and be done for a long time. Either way, the rest of the Cup Series garage just lost the luxury of underestimating him. Drop your prediction in the comments. Does Ty Gibbs win again before summer? Like this video if you think the breakthrough is real. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you at Kansas.